Hello there boys and girls, Lucky here and welcome back to another CSGO video. Today with another early AWP picks video. This is basically like an entry frag tutorial for AWPing, this time on DE Overpass, and I'd say let's get it going for the terrorist side. So there are a couple of picks that you can do. Of course, as I said before many times, you always want to have the best spawn, it's the most important thing. So if we just take our knives out and we run straight like this and drop down right here, this is one of the first spawns that we can basically utilize in order to be here first. This is a passive pick because it takes you about 10 seconds to get here, and once you're here you actually have to wait for the CTs to push around here, to go to connector or to the door, and you just kind of post up right here and wait. This is one of the few spots on Overpass where Ts are actually faster than the CTs. So if you want to drop down connector, this is the first pick passively that you can hold. Another passive pick that you can do, which is also the one you'll be there first as a T, is if you just go to this spot. So once again, having the best spawn is the most important thing. Somewhere around here, next to this guy, and you just start running, of course, with the knife out, and you only switch your weapon as soon as you're basically close to your snipe point. So you jump out like this, and you wait right here. And you basically what you do, you want some CTs to cross over right here at the monster tunnel, and you, once again, just basically hold this angle passively and wait for them to get uncautious or stuff, and just pick them off like this. There are two other picks that you can do as well. So instead of just holding this one passively, you can also just keep pushing down to maybe this spot right here, and then try to get a pick on a guy right there. The bad thing, however, is CTs usually have a better spawn, so if they decide to rush you or to peek from right here, you'll most likely get caught off guard while you're trying to peek the guy right here, because there's another dude pushing up behind the wood right here in order to kill you. So this is a very risky thing to do. However, if you are willing to take the risk, especially if you have like a mate right here with you that can basically back you up with a rifle, it's sometimes still worth the peek to just try to get this early pick onto the guy on toxic barrels right here. But it's very risky, and it's usually something that I would not recommend. As for short water right here, there's basically no viable pick that you can utilize, because guys could be right here, and on short, and it's basically not a good spot for an AWP, so I would not recommend to do so. So let's talk about actually going towards the A side now, on the upper way up right there. So same thing again, you want to have the best spawn as possible, and you want to get your knife out and just run straight. Here we get another spawn that's actually viable, or as I said, one of our sponsors viable for a fast pick. Basically right here. You'll be here first before any CT is. So if the CTs decide to push right here, you'll be able to basically pick them off right here, just fire and get the kill, and you're good to go. However, if you decide to keep pushing, maybe right here through playground, and you want to try to get a pick along, this is very risky because it takes you about maybe 15 to 13 seconds to get right here, and the guy back there, the CT player, the CT sniper or AWPer, he only needs about 8 seconds, so he'll always be faster, so you'll always be at a disadvantage for the guy. He could be there, or he could also be there. He also has enough time to post up right here and to get you. So this is a very risky thing, and I once again would not recommend to do it. What you can do, however, if you're on party, you can try to get a pick into bathrooms right here, or to short, or maybe even into connector, just by kind of slowly creeping around and trying to get a pick like that. And that's basically all you can do for a T side. It's very limited on Overpass, so right here, this one is the fastest, basically, for you to be there before the CTs are, and the connector one for the aggressive picks, or better said, well, semi-aggressive. They're all kind of passive with the AWP on T side right here, so you really can't do all that much. But now let's talk about the CT side. So now we're on the CT side, and for the CT side there's actually a lot more viable options. So first of all, if we want to go to A again, or better said cover A long, the first thing that usually is the most common spot is if someone is just kind of going right here and then posting up like this. As I said before, it takes you not very long to get here. You'll always be first and you kind of post up right here. Many people, however, mess up the first shot because they're kind of getting too focused and they're just staring at the screen, which is not very helpful. So keep in mind, they will take about 5 seconds longer, 3 to 5 seconds, before they actually might pop up here. In theory, you actually have enough time still to push up to this spot right here. And sometimes, if you're both pushing, so the CTs and Ts, you'll kind of meet in this area at about the same time. Of course, if they're all rushing, it's kind of risky, but if you want to get an early pick, you can also kind of just rush right here and get them. But it's very likely that you're gonna die. You're not like, there's not much you can do if you're facing multiple opponents with an AWP right here, because you'll get shot from right there, right here, and right there. So you might be able to pick one guy and he will kill you, and then you basically gave them a free AWP, which is of course not recommendable. So playing the tree spot is already very risky, but it kind of pays off a lot. And of course this one is the default one that usually keeps you safe most of the time. You also got enough time to basically... but there's a better way actually. Once again, if you got the best spawn especially, you want to just go like this right here. Just run around into bathroom. Then you want to get your AWP ready, and you can try to get a pick on the guys pushing onto party. Or just post up like this and wait for any guy to push. Of course, if you're holding this one, you do not know if they push behind you right there in playground and kind of sneak up on you like right here. So it's very risky to just hold this spot. If you want to hold this spot, make sure you're not exposing yourself to this side. That's a very important thing. So another pick that I want to show you guys is actually kind of a special one that I really like. So if you're just, once again, got a best spawn or a good spawn, you want to just straight up push into bathrooms right here. And then you want to aim for the green bench. You want to jump up onto it and then onto this part of party right here. So what you're doing now is basically you're creeping up just a little bit in order to see through this little kind of fence peeking hole. So the good thing about this is now, I said before that the T's are always there before you are. So if you're just jumping up right here, you'll be able to kind of take a peek up to the guys who are kind of pushing right there into the playground section. And you might be able to catch them off guard, because the T's holding from here, even if they're faster, they'll be lower down. So they have to move all the way up to right here in order to kind of get a glimpse of you, because you're kind of too far back. You see right here? If you're actually standing right here and just trying to peek through it, they won't be able to see you, and you might be able to catch someone off guard. Also, you can combine this with a smoke, so if you're just running straight right here and you're smoking it off right here, so just let me get a smoke, and doing the same thing again, jumping up onto the bench and onto the party area, you can also try to creep up and get a peek right here. In this case, however, you're most likely not gonna be able to see perfectly, so they might still be able to push around and get you from right here. However, usually if this is smoked off, they will not think that you might actually kind of try to peek over the smoke to get a peek on them and kill them right here. However, it's a very risky thing to do. So you can do this once or twice per game, or maybe even a couple more times depending on what you're playing. It's a very cool pick to kind of stay back here and try to catch the guys jumping into the playground. And even with the smoke right here, it's kind of helpful, so keep that in mind when you're playing a CT. Okay, now let's talk actually about the B side and how you want to kind of defend that or basically get early picks. So, once again, always keep in mind, best spawn is always the best to have. So what you basically do is you jump around right here, and you always want to go up these stairs. You'll always be faster. Then jump down into the water, you'll get no falling damage. And there is the passive one that you can do right here. Just hold like this. This is, again, passive one, you're there before the terrorists are, and usually this is very easy to hold. However, you can also just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and if you're right here, you can kind of jump over and try to get an early pick. If you're just jumping this far, the guy right there on barrels won't be able to spot you. So make sure you're kind of right here, basically towards this wooden wall, I'd say, and just post up like this and try to get a pick and then fall back to side. If the terrorists are pushing, they'll usually be about right here or right here, depending on how fast they were. So if you decide to actually jump down right here and try to get a pick like this, really make sure to kind of just fire and fall back immediately, because if they're rushing, it's very likely that you'll get caught off guard. So once again, this is especially good if you got a rifler right here backing you up. And there's another passive one that you can do if you're holding from short sandbags right here, and that's just like this. I'm not a big fan of this one because they can also push from down here, and if you're holding this spot, you kind of have to flick down, and it's not very successful most of the time. I mean, depends on how good you are, but just for this video is usually just for general picks that you kind of just to hold and fire and you're good. This is a very kind of off-angle thing that you can do once or twice per game, so do not do it too often. So last but not least, let's talk about connector. As I said before, the terrorists will always be there before the CTs are if you decide to push down all the way. Sorry, it's still early in the morning, I'm a little rusty. So if you're kind of coming from A side, you just go through short right here, down connector, and even if you jump kind of down right here and kind of try to get an early pick, you'll still be there after the terrorists kind of posted up right here. So a thing that I usually do is I just run right here and smoke it off. and then you can kind of wait. And this is basically just to protect you. Under no circumstances usually you'll be able to get this guy without kind of flashing yourself out or doing whatever and trying to get a kill like this. It's just not possible, you're just too slow, just from the kind of path you have to run through. Another thing that I like to do, however, is if you're just posting up on this door right here and you're hearing steps and someone's calling that they're going short, and you're close enough to the door right here, you can just press E and get a quick pick, fire, and then fall back. This can be very handy, but once again, it's kind of a weird thing to do, so do not do it too often, especially if no one's holding upper right here. They can kind of just rush down connector and catch you off guard. Same goes for the guy if they decide to push through the smoke right here. So it's really just staying right here, firing one shot and falling back. And then holding the upper side again if there's no one from your team holding there, or just holding connector in general. But holding connector with an AWP is kind of tricky, so that's why I say don't do this too often, just like once or twice per game. But yeah, I think this already wraps it up for this video for Overpass and the early AWP picks. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, feel free to leave a like to show me that you did, and luckySkillFaker out.